Hi, I'm Julia and this is my shed. So today's job, what we need to do is start assembling the smoke box door on the Britannia. So luckily I've got quite a lot of the parts, like the hinges and so on. So we'll get those fitted first. And then we can put in we've got the hinge pin there, so we can fit that. And then we've got the hinge brackets. So once this is all assembled, I can transfer the holes from these brackets to the smoke box ring, so that we can carry on with that. I don't think we've got the lamp brackets, so I'll have to make some of those. But we have got the stanchions, so we can fit those and get this assembly complete. The other job is to get the dart bar assembled, so we'll do that as well. And yeah, unfortunately we haven't got the dart or the bar or all of the mountings, but so we'll have to, that'll be a separate project, I think. So yeah, let's get on with assembling this. So the first job is to put the hinges in. They're supposed to be just Loctited in place. These holes need deburring. And then the rivets are pushed through and also Loctited. But I think what I can do is, if I just countersink the rivet holes, I can just peen over the ends of the rivets as well, so that will just make that a bit stronger. So we'll do that. We'll get to countersinking. So I shall put you on time lapse while we clean this up. So here's a little trick. These holes have got burrs on them and I can't get the rivets through, so I'm just put a small drill in a pin vise. I'm just going to use that just to lightly countersink the tops of the holes, and that should just clean any burrs up, hopefully. Okay, so I'm just putting the rivets in first, and then we'll try and get them through the holes. So they're looking pretty good. I'll just see if the hinge pin lines up with these. Everything needs deburring with these kits. I might just get a drill bit, a 3mm drill bit, and just clean those bores out a bit. I found a 3mm reamer actually, so that's handy. It's just lots of burrs. There we go, let's try that then. That might do the trick. Ah yes, perfect. Great. So I just wanted to check that everything was aligned there. So what we'll do next is we'll pull these out a little bit and add some Loctite. We'll use 638 again, which is the high strength stuff. And tap all these in, and then we'll see if we can just peen the ends over a little bit. I'll probably have to snip these off, but yeah, we should be able to do that. Okay, I'll put you on time lapse to do that, because it's always a bit fiddly doing Loctiting. Okay, so I've mounted the rivet set in the vise. I'm just going to pop the head into the set. It's a copper rivet, so it's not going to take much beating. So that'll just gently form it into the small countersunk that I've just done. A third one next. I'm just tapping the sides just to make sure the rivet's fully seated. You see it's popped through a little bit. Okay, we'll do the other side. Okay, so I'll clean that up with the file. There we go. Got nice set rivets now. That's the job. Lovely jubbly. Should just be a few strokes of the rough file that I just clean up so they're nice and flush. That's taking any sharp edges off, I think that'll do. Right, get rid of the swarf. That's nice and flush. Yeah, unfortunately I have dinted these a bit. Never mind. I think that will show once it's painted. But yeah, so that's the door hinges done. Hinge straps. So the next thing is we've got these hinge blocks and they're very tight fit in the strap, so I just need to ease these a bit and then we can use the hole in there to figure out where to drill holes in the smoke box. We'll probably need to make the holes slightly oversized just so we've got a bit of wiggle room, but yeah, that's the next thing. I often struggle with holding the smaller parts, and I've just come up with this idea, just to use the engineer's clamp as a holding device. It's just making deburring this part a lot easier. So I've just had to file the straps slightly, because although I could get the block in, it wouldn't actually turn round, and you can see there that block's still a little bit tight. So I'm just trying very light sideways pressure there just to ease this into the block. This block seems a little bit tighter than the other one. I wonder if it's got squished at some point. Just gently file it away. That's getting better now. Almost goes in. Almost goes in. There we go. Lovely jubbly. A little bit tight at the moment, but we can always ease that a little bit more in the future. Right then, hopefully we can get some idea of where to put the holes for the hinges next. Okay, so that's the door in position. I'm going to, where I've had to repair it, I'm going to put those top and bottom. Just to keep them away from all the... We need to drill these 2 holes, and then there needs to be some holes for the dart bar as well. So, right then, let's... need to get the Sharpie marker out now and roughly... So a quick thing while we're waiting, we can make up the dart bar. So we've got some fasteners, some spacers, and then the actual bars themselves. I don't feel actually seem to have been deburred, so I think it's just a case of some assembly required, I think. That nut doesn't match. Need to find a spare nut then. Let's see what this is. Hopefully a metric one. So I've organised, as you saw, I organised my metric parts. No, that's not metric. That's not from M5. Just say M5 on there. Oh, I picked up the wrong box. Let's try M5, shall we? So yeah, organising your nuts and bolts does help. It does work as long as you can read. There you go, kids. Pay attention at school. You might need your reading, writing and arithmetic one day. Just try and keep it all parallel while we tighten it up. The Keith Appleton approach of using a decent quality adjustable. So I'll hacksaw the excess off. So I've centre popped the where I think the holes should be. We'll start with a smaller drill and work our way up once we're happy that it's in the right place. So I've got the smoke box ring attached, clamped to this sort of drilling piece that I use as a sacrificial board. I've got the wiggler lined up on my centre pop mark. So now we can drill the hole. That's the centre drill. Then we'll go in with 3mm drill. There we go. So I'll do the same again for the other one, and then we'll do a trial fit. Okay, so I've did a trial fit, and this hole's just a little bit too far towards the outside, so I'm just going to elongate the hole very slightly. Speed of it. as this is so thick, I'm going to have to do it from both sides, which is a bit annoying, but we can clean up any difference with a file afterwards. I'm not going to worry about vacuum leaks because we can always put a bit of silicone in there just to fill the hole up a bit. So just to prevent mistakes, I've clearly marked with an arrow where we need to be going. Okay, so that just moving that hole very slightly, probably only 1/2 mil or so. We've now got the door centralised, so there's no daylight showing around the edges. It sits in this recess quite nicely. Just need to move this pin so it's the buttons at the top, but apart from that, that's all good. So the next job then is we need to fit the dart bar. So there'll be some brackets here which we haven't got. I thought we did have, but we haven't. We also need the dart. I have got this one of the dart handles, so, and that's the harder one to make. It's the one with the square on it, so that's quite good. I thought these were dart brackets, but they're not. They're not very nice lamp brackets. They need thinning at the top, so we do need lamp brackets, so we will use those. What I want to do next is make the dart. So the dart basically clamps the smoke box to this bar. So once this bar is clamped in place, I can then use these brackets, or perhaps just modify them slightly. Well, maybe, or at least make some brackets in the right place. Yeah, so that's today's job. So I need to find some square section steel to make that. I've got one of the dart handles, so I know what size square to put on the end of it. Yeah, so we'll get on with that. It's 8 degrees in the workshop today, so and my diesel heater has died. So yeah, unfortunately I'm going to have to put a fan heater on, which is going to be very expensive. So you could always buy me a coffee. Anyway, enough begging. Let's get on with it. The poorly diesel heater, I've ordered a new control board for it. It was complaining about the glow plugs, but a tested glow plug still doesn't work, so I think the control board's died. Or possibly the wiring. But I'll fire the parts cannon at it and see what happens. Okay, so I found some stock. This is something like 1/4 by 1/2 inch rectangular stock. It's probably mild steel. That's the rough outline. So it's generally called a dart because normally these bits are a bit more pointy, so you can push it through the dart bar. However, so that's what we're going to do. I should cut a bit of this off to size. It's about 60 mil long. So I think with this sort of thing you need a bit of extra stock to hold it. So I'll be holding it in the forger, I think, because it's a bit of an odd shape. But when I've got something awkward to put in the lathe chuck, I quite like to get it set up on the bench first, so I can get it roughly centered on all the faces, make sure it's actually going to work. It's a lot easier to work with it on the bench. You can actually get to things. So that's what I'll be doing. So I've done that now. I've figured out how much I need to cut off. So we'll get it set up in the lathe next. I've centered the stock up in the forger as best I can. We've got quite a lot of extra material all around, so it's not super critical. you know, to get it to the nearest 1/10 of a mil or something. Yeah, so that seems quite rigid. So I'll put the features on, starting at the end, moving in, because it's at the moment it's quite stiff. But obviously, as we machine down, it's going to get more flimsy. So if we put all the features on the end first, it should not deflect too much. That's my plan anyway. So I'll bring you along and we'll see if that actually works. Okay, let's see if we can square the end up without anything disastrous happening. Obviously this is an interrupted cut, so I'm just going in very small cuts initially. Obviously I've been messing around with my tool post, so it's... Try again. Didn't quite get that tightened up properly. Looks like the tool's a bit low as well. So let's see if we can adjust that a bit. Try again. That's better. Okay, that's the end squared up, so that's good. Okay, now we're reducing it down from 12 mil on the larger diameter to down to 3.6 mil, so that we can put a 4BA thread on the end of it. So I'm doing 0.5 mil off the diameter each cut at the moment. Which is quite hairy. So we're getting there slowly. I'll put you on time lapse now for the rest of this. Okay, that's down to 3.6 mil. So just before we tap it, I'll just put a chamfer on there to make that so the tap can start a bit easier. So as this is a small tap, I'm just going to do this by hand. There's not going to be a lot of friction involved. I'll add a little bit of cutting oil there, I think. Get some out. So we get a nicer result. And there we are. Lovely. So the next section actually needs to be a square. So what I'm going to do is machine that down to the across corner dimension, which is about 5mm roughly. So I'll do that on the lathe, and then we'll transfer this to the milling machine to mill the square on, and then we'll carry on machining down. So I need to go in 7.7mm next. So I'll just put you on time lapse for this one, I think, because it's just going to get a bit tedious otherwise. So just to show you what we're trying to do, this handle has a square in it, so that basically needs to go into this section of the dart bar, which is here. So that's the next job, is to square off that circle. So we've just changed it from a rectangle to a circle, and now we're going to change it to a square. Okay, so we've got the chuck set up on the dividing head. I've got a 12 tooth or 12 hole dividing plate in there. So what I've done is, just to make life easier, I've tried to basically align it with the four, as close as possible with the four faces of this. So obviously we can't get it exactly right, but it's close enough so I don't go off by make a mistake. So we'll come down. I want to be just a little bit off the thread, so we'll just take a little cut to start with. We'll do all four sides and then measure it and see how much more we need to take off. Okay, that's the first side done, so we'll rotate it round and we'll do the next side. That's probably not going to be small enough, but we'll have a try. And indeed it isn't, so I'll measure that and we'll just keep shaving it off until it fits. So that's 4mm across flats. The square is just starting on this, but it's not been particularly well broached. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave that at 4, and then I'll just tickle this up with a file just to get that nice tight fit, because we don't want it too slack. So I think we'll leave that there. I'm quite pleased with that. So back to the lathe. So now we need to make the main part of the shaft. So this needs to be 3/16 diameter basically. So yeah, well, let's get on with that. Having checked the size of the hole in the smoke box, that's actually 6mm. So we as this is 1/4 of an inch, we'll just make it round, I think, and then that'll be good enough. So that saved a little bit of work, so that's good. We're back on the milling machine now. That's all the lathe work done. This is 1/4 of an inch thick, and I think the space between the dart bars is more like 6mm. So I just want to shave like 1/4 of a mil off each side of this, just to make it go a bit easier through the dart bar, because it's putting darts in is fairly fiddly at the best of times. So yeah, let's have a go at that, shall we? That should probably do it. So let's I'll show you it all assembled now, so you can see how it all works. So a quick bit of deburring. Okay, let's show you it in situ. So we're all good there, so that's looking all nice. So I just need to chop this end off about 6mm, file it to a nice shape, and we're done. Okay, so that dart bar handle fits nicely on the square now. As you can see, the handle pretty much lines up with the dart shape, so that's helpful. So you put it in like that, and then turn it like this, then tighten up the second one on the thread, and then that pulls the smoke box closed. So hopefully that's clear. So I need to make another one of these now, but with a 4BA thread. So we haven't got the brackets in, but this will be held loosely on brackets. So you close the door with the dart in that position, then you rotate it 90 degrees, and then start to tighten up the dart handle, and then that just pulls everything closed. I'll just show you around the front side so you can see the darts lined up, and then we just need something to tighten that up now. So I'll carry on this assembly. Once that's held in place, it then makes it easier to position the dart bar hand brackets then. So that's why I'm sort of doing things in this order. So continuing on with the dart, we've got one of these handles, but we haven't got the second one. So the second one will basically look exactly the same, but it'll have a 4BA thread to go onto this thread here, and this handle part will be bent outwards slightly just to get better clearance. So we need to make this on the lathe, and then just cut. Hopefully we've got some stock similar size that we can silver solder in. So yeah, let's get that done. So I found a bit of brass. It's a little bit too large, only by about 1 mil. So we'll face off the end and then get the diameter right, and then we can drill and tap it. There we go, that's nice. Just zero the Z-axis. I think this is the stock that's not particularly round. Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Keep going until we get it rounded off, and then I'll check the diameter. Slightly under, but that's what we need actually, because we don't want to overlap the one that's in there. Just add some chamfers, apparently that's important. I'll sort some drills out and I'll bring you back. We'll start with the centre drill. And the tapping size for 4BA is 3 mil, so that's an easy one. I'm going to go quite deep just to give the tap a bit of clearance as it goes through. So I'll just start this by hand, I think. I'll need to get a tap wrench in. So give it a little bit of lubrication. This tap isn't particularly good. We'll just put it in by hand. So this brass is a little bit chewy, a little bit soft, so it's not great for machining. I'll just see if I've got a sharper tap. So I've found this one, which is what looks like a fairly new taper tap. So let's try that. That's cutting much easier, much more like it. Okay, I think we're bottoming out about there. This doesn't need to be finished on the lathe. We can always do it on the manually later on. So I think, yeah, I think that's good enough for now. So now we need to transfer it to the milling machine to cross drill it for this 3mm handle. So because the arbor that this is on is held in with a bolt, I can't push this all the way through. So rather than wasting material, I've just packed it up with some shims feeler gauges. In case, going back to what I was talking about before, I've used the balancing a ruler trick to get the centre. So that's fairly horizontal. I'll just tweak that a little bit, and then I'm going in about 3.9 from the end. So I'll just figure out what drill size I need, and then we'll come back and drill that hole. So I think that the bit of brass I've got for the handle is an 1/8, so I'll go in with an 1/8 drill, and that should just give a bit of room for silver soldering. So we've just broken through it into the threaded portion, so we'll probably need to rethread that after we've silver soldered. May need to re-drill it as well. We'll see. I was in two minds whether to do this first or silver solder first, so we'll see how we get on anyway. Okay, so next job is to make the handle. I think I'm actually going to part off the main part after I've silver soldered, because if I do need to re-drill and tap, it's going to be easier if I can hold it. So yeah, it's always a learning experience, isn't it? Let's see if this is sharp enough to... Just take the end off there. Maybe a little bit more. Pop a little chamfer on that so it's easy on the hand. Lots of motion sickness. See if that will actually go in the... Yes, it will. That's good. Okay, I'll hacksaw that off and we'll machine the other end up so it's nice and clean. So we'll clean off the other end. A little bit less hairy now. We're a bit further in the chuck. I'm not sure why I left it hanging out so far before. And again, we'll just pop a nice little chamfer on that so it goes into the other part nicely. Somebody's put a camera in the way, it's ever so awkward. There we go. Lovely. Okay, so I've just got the long bar sticking out of the vise actually. Ignore this, this is just so that we can hold focus. No, we're going to have to use the bigger torch. It was a good idea, but no good. So I'm not sure if I pressed record then, but we managed to get it silver soldered with the big torch. Obviously we've got a big piece of brass sticking out the end, so it's a little bit hard to heat up with the small cook's torch. So never mind. I'll let that cool down, and we can have a go at tapping it then again. I think probably need to redo the tapping. Actually, well, let's get a feel for whether that needs to. Oh, actually, it might be okay. I think we might be all right, actually. Just needed cleaning up a bit. Probably a bit of flux got in there. So that's great. Cool. Oh well, so live and learn. So we'll let that cool down, and then I can part it off in the lathe. Just have to watch the clearance to that part. But yeah, it's all good. Just have a quick go at cleaning it up with the emery cloth. I had a bit of a blob of silver solder on the side, so I filed that off as well. Still a bit warm, but hopefully we can make it look vaguely presentable. There we go. Right, let that cool down. We can go into the vise, onto the lathe. So one thing I did forget is it needs a British standard donk. There we go, just to push it outwards slightly. Just one, not two, otherwise that would just be going too far. But hopefully you can see that just moves it away from the other handle, so it makes it easier to use. That was on the drawing, I didn't just make that up. So this is all a bit non-standard, so I've double checked I've got clearance here. But I think that'll work. So I've just locked the carriage so there's less variables. Let's have a go. Very carefully just chamfer that back edge now, just a little bit. I think I'll put a drill in to catch it. So this is a 2.5mm drill, so it's not going to be touching anything. Just stop it flying off into low Earth orbit, really. Right, that's that done. So that's the final result. I had to put in just a little washer there, and had to fiddle about with the position of this particular one until we got it right. But that's nice and tight now, and they're both pointing downwards, which is sort of standard. And then on the back you can see this is holding nice and solid. So what that then means is I can find the position of the brackets to hold this in place. It's just a little L bracket. That means I can just drill these holes to mount this quite simply. So, and you know, we had to make this part anyway, so it's all good. So I'm really pleased with that, actually. That's first one of those I've made. Actually, we're upside down. I need to swap those around the other side, but that's not a problem. Yeah, these need to go at the top, actually, so it actually goes like that. So never mind. I'll fiddle about with I might put another washer in just to make sure that this is moving downwards. It just looks nicer. Obviously I've got this pin in the wrong way around as well, so yes, managed to confuse myself there. Anyway, I think I'll draw this video to a close now, but I'm ever so pleased with how that's turned out. Hope you like it too. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.